Hey everyone, so we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a couple of different races here that I did over the course of a few days, all in the MX-5 at Oulton Park. So this first race, taking you through the qualifying here, really just to show you a mistake I didn't know you could make. I was a little aggressive coming out of the pits there, as you can see, and got a black flag during qualifying. So basically after that, just went through a typical lap. Just trying to do a normal steady lap as an out lap. Wasn't really sure how to deal with a black flag. I knew I'd have to come into the pits, but wasn't sure what to do at that point. So did my lap. It was a pretty slow lap, as any out lap would likely be. Don't really care too much about qualifying for the MX-5 Rookies Cup. So yeah, just kind of trying to get the lap over with and get into the pit stop and figure out how to deal with the black flag. So pulled into the pits, and like I said, with the black boxes and stuff, still not being familiar with everything, went into the pits and stopped and wasn't really sure what to do, as you'll see here in a minute. So stopped, assuming I would be, serving a stop and go penalty, and couldn't figure out how to do that. So I just exited out of that and didn't bother qualifying. Not a big deal. We don't even really want to qualify sometimes for these rookie races. So anyway, here's the first one. Take you through part of the first lap, because I think this one had a little bit of chaos in it and is probably worth watching. You can see this guy gets a little upset and just completely knocks the other guy out of the way, which, whatever. Maybe a bit of an overreaction. So you try to take it, the thing with rookies is you want to take it a little bit easy, as you see a ton more chaos in front of me here. You want to take it easy, but one of the benefits of racing in the rookie class is you start to get experience on how to race alongside other people. And you have a lot of people recommending that you start from the pits and try to just stay away from people as much as possible, but from my perspective, yes, it'll be safer that way. You'll get out of rookie faster, but are you really getting the value out of the rookie class and racing alongside other folks who might not be as controlled as some of the more advanced drivers? So anyway, that's my take on it. So I don't try to mix it up exactly, but trying to at least keep myself involved, not back off too much. Because the goal for me was not just to get out of rookie as quickly as possible. It was to get as good as possible around my competition. So anyway, later in the first lap here, obviously a lot of rookie chaos, as you'd expect in the first lap. I can't remember if this is the race that sort of ended early for me for a reason, but so we'll find out soon enough around this turn here. But yeah, this particular race had quite a lot of contact and chaos. And yeah, it is this one. You'll see this car darting over from the left, and I tried to stop, but I ran right into the guy. So not exactly sure how I could have done that one better. If I had hit the brakes a little bit harder and tried less to get around it, maybe. But because at this point I realized my car was completely buggered. Could not keep it in a straight line. So that stinks, but you're just gonna see that really in any race, but especially in the rookie races. Supposedly it's a lot crazier, and this is quite a quality rejoin by that guy. So yeah, I just headed to the pits to get repaired and continue on with the race. I have kind of a policy to make sure that I finish all the races that I start. I think that's important. So completely ended my race, but figured I could still gain something from it. So coming out of the pits, gonna fast forward through the bulk of this lap here. There's probably some interesting stuff that happened later that I'll slow down for you. Really nothing of note here until I come across that guy, and then you see up here this car is just completely disabled, and instead of sticking on the outside or the inside, he tries to come across the racing line, which you can tell his left front tire is just gone. And I just, stuff like that you see a lot, and you just gotta wonder. So this was pretty uneventful. Started low down because of qualifying, and just out of attrition ended up getting up into 6th place, and then here's the finish of the race. Again, pretty unremarkable. And I actually think that I was the last person to finish, which is an interesting distinction to hold, I guess. Yeah, quit now that you can see we actually gained safety rating and a little bit of iRating. So overall net positive. Glad I stuck with it. Wasn't a super interesting race, but padded the stats a little bit, and that's always important. And I think at this point I was in D class actually, out of rookie. Only took me 3 races to get out of rookie because I was relatively safe. So this next race is very interesting. So I'm going to keep you along for a lot of it. Particularly the guy directly in front of me, Michael, and a guy a couple cars ahead, Landon. Had quite a nice little battle going. A little bit of jawing back and forth, which is fine. But you'll see that I was a casualty of their battle, which we'll come up on in a second here. Well, maybe not a second. I think it's maybe halfway through the race. So pretty typical first lap stuff in the beginning there. And some nice close racing coming up, which you'll see. That chicane's interesting because I tend to brake a lot later than some folks, and either, depending on who you're racing against, that either gains me a ton of time, or actually loses me some because the other cars are braking earlier but getting better exits. I think it just depends on the skill level, so I got to figure that one out. It's a little bit tough for me to get just right. And that second chicane is, I don't think I've gotten right once since I started this series. You can see the conversation starting with Landon and Michael here. But I mean, really, despite the, the conversations between the two, they had some pretty clean, good racing I saw ahead of me. And you'll see I'm actually able to, stick my nose in past someone who's a little bit slow through that first corner. They also gave me a decent amount of room, which I appreciate. That doesn't always happen. So we're up into, I think, 8th now, which will stay, I think, for a while. So you can see those guys went through that turn side by side, which is not the last time they would do that. You can see up here, I think this is actually the leader. Went off, or maybe it wasn't the leader. 3rd place person, Luckily I was able to get a good run on him and come into the chicane. I think now we're in 7th. So with these two guys in front of me fighting, I'm able to gain back quite a bit of time. Although it looks like the guys in front of them are pulling away. It's an interesting thing, like, you know, strategy is not really something you think about in these lower level races, but you know, I think it promotes just good sportsmanship, as if you're trying to keep up with the people in front of you and avoiding battling too much, because that'll prevent you from being too aggressive, and because who cares the difference between 6th and 5th place? Like, it just doesn't matter. A little wide on that one. Had to be pretty late on the throttle, unfortunately, but it's a tough one to get right too. So I look at what's in front of me here, and I'm saying this is actually pretty good, clean racing. You know, for the second out of, you know, 4 or 5 times this race when they're side by side through there, and you can see Landon goes off a little bit. That doesn't really look like anybody's fault particularly. So we're up into 6th now, or maybe 5th. We're behind Michael. And you can see Landon is about 1.5 seconds behind, but he's quick, and he's quicker than Michael and me. And you'll see that bear itself out later as he's catching up. You know, it's hard to tell if some of the frustration comes from being a little bit quicker, not being able to get around someone, or something else, but it looks to be that that's what happens later on. This is a better lap of mine than usual. Usually in the 154s, if I can hit a 154, I'm happy. I don't think I've hit a 153 yet, though I know I'm capable of it. Just can't quite string a really good lap together here at Oulton Park. It's for some reason just a difficult one for me to get right for a whole lap. And I got off tracks up the you-know-what this whole race. But you can see already in almost exactly a lap, Landon went from being off the track and 1.5 seconds back to a few tenths. So he was definitely quicker than me, and because I was keeping up with Michael, who had no one in front of him, he's probably quicker than Michael too. He gets a better run through this straight here coming into the chicane, and you'll see in a later race that, you know, this is just a tricky place to go side by side through, so, you know, I'll always just err on the side of giving up the place and, you know, living to fight another day. You know, I'm at a point in my very, very young sim racing career that I just don't. Who cares about the difference between you know, 6th and 7th? See, yet again, pretty close here in this turn. They're right up on each other now. So really, from my perspective, this is fun to watch. And another off track. Michael nearly loses it here. That's able to correct himself, but that, I think, slowed Landon down a little bit. I don't know if you've ever gotten stuck behind someone who's a little bit slower than you. They're making mistakes and you're having to account for it. It can get a little bit frustrating, and that's probably what Landon's going through here, which is understandable. I think there's even a little bit of contact just there and there. There I could have probably stayed on the throttle. Just got a little nervous when I saw Michael coming back over the track a little bit. There's plenty of room there, but just, being a little bit overly cautious, I think. Already with 3 or 4 incident points, I didn't want to rack them up too much. Again here, this is something I'm learning to do, but I'm, got a better run out of here. Was, looked like I was going to pass Michael, and I just backed off a little bit. So here's where Michael makes the mistake. Goes onto the grass, and I should have accounted for it, and there he came across and took me out. At that point, I said something like, "Come on, man." And then he said something like, "You gotta slow down if I touch the grass," or something. Not sure. Anyway, yes, I should have probably, been more cognizant of what was eventually going to happen, but, didn't look like there was a whole lot of effort put in just getting the car slowed down and back on the track. But this basically ended my race for the most part. Had to get the car towed, I just couldn't drive it that way. So I'll fast forward through this, just sitting in the pits. This whole time, there's some arguments happening, and you'll see more of that here as the race goes on. They get towed, and then you gotta get the car repaired. Then I was able to get back on the track. The rest of the race is really a whole lot of nothing. And here coming up on the finish, ended up looks like 10th. So not a great race. One of the few times I felt like I was just absolutely taken out. You'll see another one of these. One of my later races that I'll publish here. Actually in this video probably. You'll see later I got absolutely taken out. So, it never feels good, but it's just going to happen in these races. So, just roll with it. It's a video game, So I've taken to saving the replay so that I can create a reel of crashes and stuff like that, which everyone loves watching. So looking at the results here. Not a great one. Lost a ton of I rating, somehow gained safety rating, but yeah, it just happens sometimes. So here's the next race. I think this was still the same day actually. This one was considerably better for me. Started off in 4th, gained a position quick on the start, and really what you're looking at right here was the rest of the race. Sans the disappearing and reappearing car. But really the guy behind me who started in 5th, he ends up crashing out later on in this lap, which you'll see. And then after that, it was me chasing the 2 guys in front of me. So fast forward through most of this, bring you back for a couple of more of the interesting parts that you'll see. You can see, looks like Tommy behind me. I think it's this turn up here. Or maybe it's the next chicane. Yeah, I think it's the next chicane. So keeping up pretty good with the guys in front of me. And you'll see I'm a little bit slower through this second chicane, which, like I said, I don't think I've gotten right once in my races here at Oulton Park. You can see it in the rearview mirror there. Tommy goes off, and really after that, I think nobody was within 3 seconds of us for the rest of the race. You'll see I passed Nikolai there, but he ended up doing a switchback on me, which was fine. Yeah, I could tell he was faster than me, so, you know, didn't really hurt my feelings. You'll see, interestingly, he made the same mistake here that the other guy did last race, except I accounted for it a little bit better, and, you know, he was able to get it back on the track, and just gave him the position back again, because it's just not, you know, not worth crashing out. Now really, the rest of the race, you can see that, you look at the relative, you'll see it just slowly gets larger and larger. Comes back under 2 seconds a couple times, and I think I'll even get somewhat closer for a while. But the entire race was just this, basically. You'll see we're back here on the final lap at the finish line. Got with him pretty close of Carroll here, but you know, couldn't quite catch up enough to get that second place finish. But I mean, overall, third place. I think only a couple of incident points, if any. Really a good race. Had a lot of fun on this one. See, I gained 0.2 safety rating and 57 iRating change. So that was a big plus, big confidence booster for me. Hit, you know, low 154s, good average lap time. Yeah, wish it could all be like that. And here's the next one, which ended up being a really interesting and entertaining race as well, and just an overall positive one. So I started off 7th, and not a ton of chaos the first lap, which was good. If I'm remembering correctly, anyway. Seen a lot of that kind of like weird netcode like glitches. You know, happening pretty much every race. So you see the guy right in front of me, Mika, who started off 6th, and I started off 7th. We end up finishing in the same order, but not in the same place in the grid. So you'll see what I mean by that in a little bit. So I don't know exactly what happened there, just broke a little bit weird and got alongside somebody and just decided again to give it back. Got rear-ended a little bit there, but nothing severe enough to make a difference. You know, it didn't even get incident points on it, which is good. That's not always the case. You know, if you get smashed off the track, you don't always get the benefit of the doubt. A little bit of chaos here, but a pretty good rejoin by that guy. You know, didn't force himself back on the track. Came in gently off the racing line. So that was a good move there. So just by attrition, I think we're up into, I want to say 5th or 6th right now. You see behind me, absolute pile up. So you'll see, you know, fast forwarding to the race, not a whole lot happened for that second lap. We're here on the 3rd lap. And the leader of the race actually goes off there. Almost clips me coming back in, but I played it safe and pulled off a little bit, so good shape here now, I think in 5th place. So towards the end of that lap, starting the 4th here, up into 4th place. I think there was someone in the pits or something that I passed, or I'm not sure what happened there, but in 4th place, starting the 4th lap. Have Philip, Mike, and Stuart in front of me. Mika and Stuart. Stuart made a little bit of a mistake there, and you see the leader right there, Robin, I'm sorry, no, Philip, went into that chicane a little close and basically lost his front right wheel after looking at it in a replay. So if you ever wondered what happens when you take that chicane too close, your front wheel comes off. So into 3rd now, and you can see Stuart here goes a little bit wide on this final turns, and I follow him right off, but I think I'm able to keep my speed a little bit better, so got a better run, excuse me, up to the finish line here. Took the spot, and I think he backed off a little bit, gave me the room, was able to get past him, yeah, and collect another off track, of course. Now we're on lap 8, and you'll see this is Mika in front of me. We've basically just been alone in 1 and 2 for the remainder of the race there. I got close a couple times like this, but never really was in a position to make a move. He was being pretty consistent. So this is now starting the 9th lap. Still in 2nd place. Getting a couple decent lap times here, but you can see the optimals down in the mid 153s, and I just couldn't put a whole lap together to hit that. Anytime I was up a lot, like you just saw, up a couple tenths, I would just be a little bit off on one line and then just lose all that time right back. You can see Mika comes in a little slow to that corner, and I'm able to catch up a little bit. But you'll see that he makes up the time in these 2 chicanes here. So he's about a half a second ahead. Gets a really good exit out of there and just pulls away, gains 4 tenths or so when it's all said and done. So I think that's these chicanes I really need to work on. So you'll see he's almost a full second ahead now. He doesn't go in as deep in that first turn of the chicane and is able to get a better exit, and you can see now he's over a second ahead. So here we are in the final lap. Pretty uneventful, kept myself within about a second of Mika. Some nice consistent racing. Yeah, and finished 2nd. So this is a really fun one. Nothing really to complain about, some good racing. So yeah, this is another solid sort of 2nd race in a row that I really enjoyed. And as you see coming up, probably should have stopped here because the next one was a bit of a mess. So we'll take a look at that in a second once we look at the results of this one. Okay, so looking at the results, at a 0.16 safety rating improvement, which is great. Only 3 incident points, I think, and a huge uptick in iRating. So pretty happy with that. Average lap time was a little down from last time, but overall just a fun race. So wish they could all be like that again. This race was a bit of a cluster. Started 4th, qualified 4th, started 4th. And basically there was kind of one incident that didn't really ruin my race. I was still able to battle back a little bit, but it all but ruined the race, and you'd think it could be avoidable, but we'll we'll see. So that was a little, put me off a little bit. Felt like I was cut off, but, you know, kept my head cool and kept racing. So, pretty typical run around here the first lap. Cold tires, people are off their lines a little bit. So I was quite a bit slower through there, and you can see the guy behind me pulls alongside and then absolutely wrecks in front of us. So I'm trying to give them a little room. I hit him a little bit, and then in the process get absolutely smashed off the track. The hilarious thing is that I got a slowdown penalty for basically being punted through a corner cut. So car is still drivable, so I didn't have to pit, but, you know, got dumped down to absolute last place. And looking at the replay, I ended up, you know, I think the guy lost it a little bit, and, you know, was trying to turn and brake at the same time and just came in way too hot and had nowhere to go. So I don't know that I can blame who hit me that much, but yeah, it still sucks. So anyway, several laps later, ended up in, I think, 8th place here, and had a pretty good little battle with Georgie here. Really clean racing for a few laps, and ended up getting a better run under there and passing him. Having, you know, PTSD coming through that chicane again with someone next to me, but you know, he was smart, left enough room. And you can see another driver was off there, so gained another position. And yeah, really, you know, you'll notice the people that you race around, you just have a couple people that are really clean and respectful, and it just makes racing so much more fun. You know, there's just no reason to be super aggressive at this level. Yeah, but I think that goes without saying. So yeah, at the end of the 6th lap here, I lost it on the grass there, and I think in being respectful, I think Georgie actually left me a little bit more space than he could have. I think he slowed down a little, and that's why he didn't get past me. And ended up just kind of, you know, letting me have that position. You can see here the same issue almost happened again, but once again I just slowed myself down a ton and was able to get around it. It really just goes to show that when someone's off the track in front of you, or there's a wreck or something, just slow down as much as you can. It's just not worth trying to push through for the extra positions. So here's the end of the race. Ended up, looks like 5th, I think. But, you know, not a terrible result given the incident that happened. And of course, fittingly on the, you know, after I finished the race, went off track and just tacked on another incident point, and sawing at the wheel in frustration at myself for doing that. So in the end, not a terrible result, but, you know, just another example of, sometimes you're just going to get shoved, and it's going to happen. So, you know, roll with it. Like I said, it's a game. Yes, it's a simulation, but it's also a game. So here I had some fun with some of the replay, just trying to figure out what happened. Fast forwarding the first lap here. Up to the point of impact here. So you'll see here the guy behind me gets a better run and gets alongside me, which is, you know, totally fine. I think I made a little mistake here by being a little bit too chicken with the Carnage in front of me and give him room, and I hit him, and then, you know, the guy behind me just lost it a little bit, and, you know, hopefully you'll see in the replay here in a second. Yeah, can't necessarily blame him, but, you know, when you see that kind of carnage in front of you, probably best to be more proactive in slowing down. This is the car that hit me. You'll see that it hit the brakes, but, you know, swaying back and forth and kind of losing his control a little bit, and then his car is just junk at this point. So I guess one more time because we're gluttons for punishment. He obviously didn't mean it, so you know what happens. You'll see the results. Small safety rating decrease, decent iRacing increase. So that's why you finish the races. You know, it just wasn't a great race. It didn't have great results, but you know, it was a net positive. You know, a little bit of a safety rating decrease, but nothing too bad. So hope you like these videos. Like, subscribe, dislike, do whatever you want, and I'll see you later.